South Korea just dropped a bomb. Wait a minute. Poor choice of words. What am I talking about? Train to Busan. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. This is a zombie movie happening on a train. Zombie story. If you are a fan of the zombie genre, you gotta watch this movie. I know there's subtitles. It came from South Korea. If subtitles bother you, trust me, do yourself a favor. Watch it anyway. Some movies, the subtitles are very distracting because you got to see what's going on, maybe solve puzzles, or maybe there's mysteries, or you just got to pay attention, you know? This movie is structured in such a cool way where when it gets to the points where there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of reading, it slows down a minute. And it's as if it was made perfectly for a foreign market where you can do that and it doesn't take away from the experience. So again, if you don't like subtitles, give it a try anyway, especially if you're a zombie fan. Especially. I had so many people telling me about this movie. First off, I seen a little teaser and I said, that looks good. I looked it up and it said it's in South Korea or something like that, and it was just coming out, and it wouldn't be out on Blu-ray for a couple months. So I said, okay, whatever, I'll wait. Since then, I've had so many people come up to me, message me, and say, dude, Ronnie, have you seen that movie yet? You gotta see it. And they are not bullshitting. Train to Busan is probably it's definitely a contender for one of the best zombie films ever made. Hands down, will definitely be in one of your top 5 list. Top 3, top 5, top 10. Without a doubt, it'll be in somebody's top 10 list. Now, what is it about? You have a businessman with a daughter who's like 8 or 9. She wants to see her mother for her birthday. So the dad takes her on the train from, Seoul to, forgive me if I get some of these wrong, but Seoul to Busan. If I recall, that's what's going on. Essentially, they're going to the mother. Bottom line. When they get on the train, that's where shit pops off, and you have a cluster of different characters, a nice, cool mixture of characters. You have a bum. You have 2 elderly sisters. You have a young baseball team and a cheerleader. You have the big guy, well, kind of like a teddy bear, kind of the comedic relief. I call him the brawler because he beats the shit out of some zombies. I know that sounds a little corny, but it's not. You have him and his pregnant wife. Now, those two, the actors for the big guy and the pregnant wife, their chemistry won me over the first 60 seconds they were on screen. The moment I was 2 minutes into the movie with them, when they hit the screen, I said, I want them till the end, you know? That's not to say the main character with the daughter didn't grip me. I was definitely pulled into and interested into that story from the very beginning. They do a great job setting that up. There's a lot of emotional depth to this story, and I cried like a bitch. I'm a father with a daughter, and they have one scene, again, this is spoiler free, but they have one scene where they set something up in the beginning, and the daughter reveals something to the father at the end, and it's just heartbreaking, and I love it. I love what they did. Definitely get some tissues, especially if you are a crier. I don't cry. I don't. Well, I normally don't. I don't. I had a kid. All of a sudden, I'm a bitch now. I'm fucking bawling during a zombie movie. I don't know what happened to me. But there's a villain also. I call him a villain, but he's just a dickhead. And I love how the villain kind of parallels the good guy. You have the good guy who's young. He's a businessman. He's cold, only cares about him and his daughter. You have the villain. I keep calling him a villain, but he's just a huge asshole. He wins for asshole of the year. Well, he is a businessman, but he's older, and he only cares about him and his own. You know what I mean? And I love how those two stories kind of parallel, or those characters parallel. Different stories, obviously, but we will get into that in a spoiler video I plan on doing in a couple days, maybe a week or so, because I really want to go in depth and break this movie down because I loved it. So listen, we have a nice cluster of different characters. It's a nice mix, and I absolutely love that. And they are essentially just going to a place on the train. And the way they set this world up, this should show anyone who worked on World War Z. If you were involved in World War Z in any way, shape, or form in the creative process, if you had any say at all in how that was made, you need to watch this, and this movie will show you what you did wrong. Train to Busan, it is 10 times, 20 times better than World War Z, easily. And it doesn't even show half the action. It doesn't even show half the zombies. Not even a fraction of the zombies. And I don't know if it was the budget or what, But if it was the budget, that's a blessing in disguise, because in the very beginning, they properly introduced us to how an outbreak is, because they show a fire truck. They show a reflection of a building burning. They show some madness that could be seen as just normal shit. Oh man, there's a fire. That sucks. I hope everyone's okay. You know, whoop-de-whoop. And then they get to the train, and you see like flashes of stuff happening. This one train conductor or something, he looks at a mob of people. You don't know what's going on, but there's a ruckus. You know what I mean? That is how you introduce the breakdown of society. Not this whole clusterfuck in the middle of 3 million friggin' people and it's just insane. That shit, it's busy. It's busy on the screen and we're looking at just random shit going on. This was a million times more suspenseful, more realistic. It drew you in more because it felt like you were that conductor witnessing. Because we know what it is. We're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? There's some shit going on up there. Just get back on the train, you know, get out of there. That is how you set up the breakdown of society. And I love the vibe. I love the tension, the suspense. I love the build-up. And they do get into it quick. They don't mess around. They have a little introduction that I thought in the beginning was overall probably one of the elements you could have taken out of the movie, and it would have been just as good. You don't need to explain. It's 2017 now. You don't need to explain how a zombie virus starts. You don't need to do it. You don't even need to call them zombies anymore. These are two things that I am adamant about now in the zombie genre. You don't have to. They are not mandatory that you do that, because I felt like that was actually pointless setting it up. There is a moment in the end where it's like, oh man, they might be going somewhere extra special here. And that's not that I recollect. That's not something they've realistically done, or that's not something they've done in a zombie movie before that felt as real as it was, you know? But again, we'll get into that in a spoiler-free review. One thing I do want to point out, though, don't go into this movie. If you're that type of fan, don't go into this movie going, all right, well, the zombies act this way in The Walking Dead. They act this way in Resident Evil. They act this way in this. Don't go into this movie and say, wait a minute, why is that zombie doing this? They don't do that in The Walking Dead. Go into this and say, okay, let me find out what these zombies can and can't do. Are they smart? Are they dumb? I will tell you, they are the fast-running zombies. Not my favorites at all. That's the one thing that kept me from watching this movie until everyone finally said, watch it, watch it. I do not like fast zombies. I think they did this well. One of the worst things they do, Hollywood does when they film fast zombies, they shake the camera like crazy. That's the worst thing you could do. I recently watched a movie, it was a horror movie, and it took me out of the movie, and I think it was probably one of the worst horror movies made. It was some 31, some Rob Zombie shit. It was embarrassing that somebody actually made that movie. It was so shaky, there was no point in watching it. World War Z had that problem, too much shaky cam. They don't overdo it in this movie, and I think they film it the way it should be. Now, the zombies do look like a World War Z ripoff with the way they twerk. Not twerk. Zombies are twerking, man, with the way they contort their bodies. That part felt like a World War Z ripoff. Not only with the way they twerk... the contort... Not only the way they contort their bodies, but how fast they turn after getting bitten. That felt very reminiscent of that one scene in that specific scene in the very beginning of World War Z. With that said, it also felt like, hey, here's something you guys did, but we did it better. So fuck you. You know? That's what this felt. Because this movie, I would watch this 100 times in a row before I would ever sit down and willingly watch World War Z twice back to back. Now, one thing that does suck with Train to Busan, they jump the shark and they jump that motherfucker like crazy. In the end of the movie, there's a scene, and again, I won't put any spoilers here, but zombies grab hold of something. It is a jump the shark moment. It's laughably ridiculous. Luckily, it's a unimportant scene. Luckily, it only lasts a few seconds, maybe 30 seconds, maybe a minute at the most. But after that, we can move on to bigger and better things, because that scene was just terrible. That moment in the movie was just absolutely terrible. Some other flaws, I don't know why, but they do the lingering look In this, I feel like this is an amateur mistake where it feels like you're not confident your audience is going to understand the emotions you're conveying. And it might be because they were planning on pushing it into the foreign market and maybe they were unsure, but lingering looks means where you have a character who is doing any range of different emotion, whether it's anger, sadness, happiness, excitement, yada yada yada, and they will linger. Now, the reason it is bothersome in this movie is because you have fast-paced action and you need your characters acting like this. They do act like this, but the only reason they stop is to momentarily they linger to look. You know what I mean? You don't need that shit. You just have a character go boom and then get right into it. Knock that shit off. The audience is not that dumb. And the dumb ones, fuck them. You know, us smart audience members will tell them later on what's really going on in those moments. You don't need to cater to the dumbasses. So the lingering looks, like those scenes, they could have cut them in half easy. Also, we have a couple plot holes where, like, they show a YouTube video, the cameraman gets eaten. Well, who uploaded the video? Maybe somebody found it later. You have some of these minor nitpicks that you can pinpoint. There are some problems with it. Just because I'm hyping this movie up, don't look at it like this is the greatest zombie movie that's ever been made and it is perfect. You know, it could be. For you, it might be the best zombie movie ever made. Nothing's perfect. This definitely has some of its flaws. As much as I loved the characters, I felt like they could have gave us a little more interaction. Now, this movie is almost 2 hours long. I think it's like 1 hour and 50 minutes, and there could have been more. We could have dumped a couple scenes that were pointless. There was some scenes that they stretched out just too far. When they're going from cab to cab, they have a scene where they're sneaking across, and you could have cut that in half and added more scenes where the characters got to develop, maybe grow a stronger bond. This way, if you had some deaths later on, they would have more of an impact. Now, luckily, though, some of the deaths, I think they did a great job, but my point is they could have done an even better job. And like I said, they're making this into an American remake. I don't have any hopes whatsoever that they're going to do this any justice. I really hope they do. I really, really hope they do. And I hope they pay some respects to the original film, because I think this is one hell of a treat for zombie fans, and I'm hoping you go and check it out. Please support it. Don't just bootleg it. Don't waste your time with that. Amazon, high def, gorgeous, doesn't skip. You can watch it without interruptions, and it is one hell of an experience. I don't know why I'm trying to sell you on that, but I fully believe in supporting things like this that deserve it, and this one deserves it. All day, every day, absolutely. So now it's your turn. You give me your thoughts and opinions. If you've seen Train to Busan yet, leave those down in the comment box. And if you haven't, don't go snooping down in the comment box, but leave your thoughts and opinions. Are you interested? Is the idea of subtitles getting in the way? Thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.
Subscribe now.